Hello, my spiritual rebels out there. I am woman. So, thank you for returning. I am honored deeply by your presence, for my presence speaks for itself. So, in my last journaling, as I was revealing why I had to let go of the old version of my twin flame. It was a long video, and the battery of my phone died. Again, nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens just as it should. Everything is always working out for you. So you just have to trust and keep committing to this journey and allowing and flowing with it, so it can guide you to your heart. So in watching that journal that I have made, it has helped me face a lot. And in order to proceed, I have to finish it off, because where I have left off was me visiting Victor, who is the best friend of my Derek, who was the reflection of the old version of my twin flame. So as I went to visit Victor, we decided to, you have to watch the video. So basically, as I was sitting with Victor, he has expressed that at a point that he has visited Derek and his family one of these years in France. And in visiting them, he was jokingly, after I have expressed the agony I have gone through in my new reconnection with Derek, he was trying to let me know that he had visited Derek one of these days back in the days, and was, taunting him about sleeping with his wife. His girlfriend. I say wife, but really his girlfriend, his partner, same thing. It doesn't make any difference. They're living together, the mother of his child, right? So that triggered a remembrance in me, because for like I have told you, Derek has communicated to me back in the days when Victor came to visit me in New York, that Victor was renowned to sleep with his friend's girlfriend. So as Victor was making this joke, once I was trying to let go, I was given this insight that I needed to go through Victor in order to set boundaries with Derek, right? To let him go. So as Victor has expressed this, and jokingly, and was also expressing Derek's reaction to it, it has given me the inspiration to move forward, because my ego has presented a lot of resistance towards moving forward with the guidance that my heart was providing me with. So as soon as he has expressed that, I asked him to kiss him, and then I slept with him, right? Because I said, this ends with me, right? This is your best friend, and yet for over a decade, this manipulation has continued. So I am using this opportunity, to break this pattern. It ends with me, So after we slept together, right, Victor has eventually, we spent the weekend together. So Victor has curled up in in fetal position and started crying during that weekend, right? And in consoling him, it is then that he expressed that he did not deserve me and that I was too good for him and I was a good girl. And that's when, the guilt surfaced within me, right? Because I have manipulated this guy because I was incapable of letting go of Derek, right? But in sleeping with him, right, when Victor expressed this visit of Derek back in the days, a few years back, what it has revived in me is the innate jealousy and envy that I have felt initially when I returned to Benin at 19 and faced this betrayal from Derek, right? I felt jealous because I felt like the space I had held in Derek's heart was taken by Victor, right? And I have buried that. And it's very interesting. So as Victor had expressed that, right, because I was presented, has expressed that he was invited in the sacred space of Derek and had participated in, and was welcome, even though, he, for all these years, he has threatened and manipulated this best friend, because I observed the fear when Victor came in to visit me in New York. I have observed the fear in Derek's expression, so as he had, I came to, as I was trying to let go of Derek after my divorce and went to Victor, and my ego was resisting this letting go, right? The inspiration was first that jealousy that I felt, right? How is it that this guy with this behavior and this energy that he's presenting me has held such a large space in Derek's heart, while I, as I reintroduced myself and came back and offered this love that I held within all these years for him, I felt rejected and punished, right? So in that resentment, right, that resentment pushed me to kiss Victor and sleep with him. But then when I was confronted with Victor's, it was shocking to me because he really curled up in fetal position and was really crying. So I was shocked, and that's when I asked him, what is happening, and everything unfolded, because it is then that, as he was telling me that I was too good for him, I was a good girl, he did not deserve me, that jealousy and resentment was transmuted into guilt, right? I felt a deep, innate sense of guilt because he was vulnerable. He was, it is then as well he has revealed to me that he was unable to have any intimate relation with any woman after his divorce because he was holding on to a lot of resentment towards his ex-wife for the way she has treated him once he was trying to get out of his relationship. So with that realization, as I was returning back to New Jersey, I have expressed to Victor that I wish him all the best and it is time for me to just continue on my own. So it is then that Victor insisted. He begged me. He was like, Jan, you should give me a try, a chance. You know, I really want to get into this. I want to see where you and I can do with this. You know, I deserve a chance. You know, and I tried to explain to him, it's not a good idea. Plus, you are in love. You are in love with your colleague, and you know you should pursue it. You should see where it takes you, because the love is the blessing. You know, to be able to fall in love is the blessing, is the divine blessings, and to hold that space in your heart. You know, I told him I have things to face on my own, and I don't think him and I are a good idea. So he insisted, and you know, he begged me at the train station. So out of guilt, right? Because I did take advantage of him. That guilt was growing more and more. So I considered, and I decided to give him a chance, right? And in proceeding with this relationship, right? Without this relationship, I wouldn't have recognized my own spiritual value. It was a discovery, because Victor was one of the only men I have ever met who really spoke truth to me, no matter what, no matter how horrible and vile his actions were. He has always spoken truth to me. So as he expressed this desire to experience a relationship with me, it is from that space that I had opened up. I was like, fine, I will give you a chance. Let's try. Let's see where this takes us. So in navigating this relationship with him and discussing spirituality, I showed him the meditations I do. I have several styles of meditations. You know, meditating in front of the mirror is a very powerful meditation. It can get frightening, but it helps you face different aspects of yourself. I introduced him also to, Mooji, 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 or G-I, has developed, this guide has developed a style of meditation that has taken me into a depth within my heart that was exponential. So I as well introduced him to Victor. And Victor as well introduced me to some of the spiritual authorities that he follows, right? And through observing them, I also have revealed to him that some of these people that he watches energetically, for me, they were reflecting fear, not love, okay? And this is what I'm saying. I'm going to expand on this later, right? So as I navigated this relationship with Victor, we studied each other, right? He will study me, and he told me, I am studying you. And I will smile because I was doing the same thing. It is then that I observed that Victor had a lot of resemblance to my brother. You know, I always say that my relationship with him was so intimate. He was like a brother to me. And it is then that in going into a relationship with him, I observed the similarities. And furthermore, it ignited the curiosity I had back in the days about his sexual exploits, right? Because the way he used to present himself to me was that he was this, guy being chased by women, right? And in sleeping with him, and I even expressed this to him, because for me, he was the worst person, like my worst sexual experience, in a sense that he doesn't try in bed, right? He has been used to sleeping with wounded women out of desperation to get any level of attention. Will sleep with a man and do as the man wishes, and then they get afterwards, when this guy finishes, other guys step in. So these are the women, the type of women he had been experiencing sexuality and practicing his sexuality. So as he slept with me, that truth became, this is what I wanted to find out. And I told him, I was like, you don't really try in bed, right? You feel like the woman has to serve you, right? You just stay there, And I told him all of this, and he tried. I saw him try to please me. But it didn't go, and because we were not attracted to each other, right? He was in love with one of his colleagues, and as you know, I just got rid of Derek, so my heart was very wounded. So in order to even sleep with each other, we will get high, right? And this is when Victor has introduced how to smoke cannabis to me, because I didn't know how to smoke cannabis. I had a huge resistance to smoking because my mom used to hide from my dad. She used to hide her smoking from my dad, and there was a lot of anxiety. Even smoking in Benin, it's kind of like there's a lot of stigma around that. So it was through Victor he has shown me, and I have so in order to even sleep together, both of us, we had to get high, because I felt like he also as well struggled sleeping with me. So as the relationship developed, I think we did it for about 3 to 4 months, and it was long distance, because in even some weekends, we were single parents. So within that period, as I interacted with, the relationship was developing. At a point, Derek reached out. I have heard nothing from Derek, right? Since our last conversation, he just disappeared. You have to watch the other video to see where we ended things. So Derek has reached out to Victor. He sent him a message basically stating that Jan has informed me that you were going through some stuff, and so I'm calling to check if you are doing okay. See, what a good heart. So it is in that moment, because I was with Victor when Derek sent that message, right? And it is that in that moment, Victor was struggling. As he read that message, I saw him struggle responding. So I asked him, are you gonna tell him that you and I are dating? And he was like, I cannot do it. He was scared. He was like, Jan, this is not easy for me. This guy is like my best friend. He's like my brother. I can't just, this is scary. And I was shocked, because I was like, but for years you've been joking and saying these things about sleeping with his girlfriends and stuff, So, and I'm not even his girlfriend. He has the mother of his child. He's living with his mother. I'm nothing to him. This is why things have ended. So what's the big deal? You and I are both single. We are both free. You've done nothing wrong. But he couldn't do it. He was in a lot of pain, and that made my guilt even deeper. you know, because I then the manipulation that I have done, you know, and especially at this juncture that he was going through, he needed his friend by his side, right? And I have taken that away from him. So that guilt made me stick around. But in navigating that, I even observed that he was still connecting with this colleague he was in love with at work. You know, they were going through some stuff, right? And as the manipulations surfaced, you know, and I observed because I was there for him, you know, I transmuted energy and we navigated and I analyzed him. And it's through analyzing his behavior, because he shared a lot of stuff with me. We shared our childhood, what we went through. And it is then that I saw, you know, even though he had a lot of agony and resentment towards his dad, you know, the source of that resentment and agony was mostly directed towards his mother, you know. And in analyzing and observing the reason why that has occurred, it is then that I saw the role mothers and women play in this reality by victimizing themselves and not being able to find their own independence. They perpetuate this cycle of agony and resentment in our reality, right? Yes, us women, right? Yeah, so as that got revealed, so as Derek wrote to Victor, and Victor was not able to tell him about our relationship, I told Victor in that moment, that is fine, I understand that you don't want to tell him, but if Derek reaches out to me, I will tell him the truth, right? I cannot. And he said, fine. So as the relationship progressed, as usual, you know, this is it, you know, after disappearing, Derek will surface and play peekaboo and then go back again, just to make sure, you know, that he tames me and controls me, right? This is the behavior and the pattern. So Derek reached out to me and say, hi. I didn't even let him continue any further. I just told him straightforward, listen, hi Derek, listen, I have connected with Victor, we are in a relationship, him and I want to give him a try, a chance, and you know, hopefully with this new development, you and I can remain friends and you know, and stay in each other's life, because apparently being intimate with each other just doesn't work. We have tried, right? So staying friends is a better option and a healthier option based on his situation and the decision he has made, right? That was my perspective. And Derek's only comment was no comment. And I understood. I sent an emoji, I think, a kiss emoji, and I said, I understand. And he disappeared. So, and I told Victor, I have told Derek, you know, Derek wrote to me, and I have told him that you and I are in a relationship. And I observe Victor's distress. So as I saw that Victor, and I will expand on those details as they surface, but right now it's about just, as I observed that Victor was reconnecting with his colleague at work, who is really the person he was in love with, right? But he struggled to let me go. Yeah, that's, I know. I know who I am, you know? He struggled to let me go. He didn't want to let me go. So there were some manipulations happening, you know? And him and I started having a lot of conflict because I did not appreciate how he was treating his ex-wife. I did not appreciate it, right? There was a lot of resentment there, and he actively was trying to punish her. Yes, and I understand, because the way things transpire, it's always disguised as you want to hate and blame the other person, but it's just an illusion. You are just punishing and blaming yourself, right? There's nobody else. Everybody is a reflection of you. So because as a woman, I have expressed to him, yes, I got divorced, yes, I'm reviving my career after 9 years, but there's a lot of fear that you are confronted with. Now, this guy's ex-wife, right, has never worked throughout their marriage. She was a stay-at-home mom. She has 3 kids. And yes, now you want to set yourself free, you want to get divorced, and you had to do what you had to do to get out of the relationship, but you also have to acknowledge that now this person has to face her reality, on her own, find a job and fend as a single mom for 3 children. This is a very scary reality. I have my MBA, I had a career. I had reached a certain level before I crashed and decided to stay home. And still, I was facing an insurmountable amount of fear in reviving my career on my own. So I try to bring this observation to his attention, right? What he's doing to his ex-wife was a reflection of his inner feminine, because we discussed Carl Jung. It has something to do with how things he went through with his mom. I saw the correlation, and he will recognize it, he will accept it, but then go right back to the same pattern. So that created a lot of conflict between us. Yes, I have to always speak my truth, right? So as this conflict was surfacing, and we will argue, right? Once he wrote a poetry, he had a poetry blog or whatever. So he wrote a poetry about an argument and he had with someone, a woman, and blah, blah, blah. We took a break, we stopped talking, after that argument. So he wrote the poetry, and from the beginning, right, he has tried to paint me, because he paints, he's an artist. He has tried to write, he was like, I want to paint you, and he was like, there is no way you're gonna paint me. I don't even want to see any fucking drawing out there about me, okay? Because I saw how he manipulates women with this artistic, it's like how he punished his ex-wife in things that he wrote and presented himself as this, evolving and spiritual person, but behind closed doors, there was a lot of resentment and agony and fear. And this is what I'm saying, there's a lot of facades, there's a lot, and even in watching the type of spiritual authorities that were guiding, that he used as guides, that was a validation for me, because it's like these people out there are pretending and stealing in their followers on how to awakening is supposed to be looking superficially, right, in a linear basis, and it's misleading a lot of people. So I observed that those were elemental, and in making that correlation with Victor's behavior with his relationship with his mom, that has tremendously helped me. And this is what I'm saying, you have friends out there that you claim are like your sisters or like your brothers or you're like your family, but really they embody a trauma or something from your past that you are trying to hide, and you hide it in them. right? So in Victor writing that poetry about this argument, and he was expressing love and towards this person, because we just argued, right, and we took some a break. I presume, because I sense there was in reading that poetry, I sense genuine love expressed in that, and in compassion, right? I just presume it's because he was expressing the love we had between each other, and he wrote this poetry to express his agony and his willingness, right, to evolve. So I reached out to him, and we got, we let go of the argument, and I was telling him that it's in reading that poetry that I have reached back out to him, because I just presume he wrote about our argument. And it's only later on that he blurred out that this poetry was not written for me, that it was written for his colleague at work, for whom he was in love with. And it was a very interesting point. And I was like, that's when he got my attention, right? Because then truth was not spoken, right? So he got my attention. And it is then that I observe that he has been manipulating me. He stated that he wanted to give this relationship and work together, but he was incapable of staying, of really committing. So I observed them. I saw those little navigation, and I stayed quiet. I watched and I waited for my opportunity, because the guilt I was holding in, right? Just watching him in that moment when he curled up and cried because of what I have done, at this point, seeing that he was trying to reconnect with someone he actually fell in love with, gave me transmuted that guilt into confidence, right? Because now I'm like, it's time for him to let me go. But because he was clinging on too hard, yeah, it's like and I realized that as he was as well clinging on because he felt guilt, right? We had this intimate relationship and bond between us, so and in transmuting, he recognized the help I was giving to him, so he didn't know how to let go. So I helped him. Once I recognized that he was, and he would tell me, my colleague at work told me that long distance relationships are not good. They're bound to fail and all of this. He people